All right, there we go. We got to get this all set up. Yeah, my Canva's still open for my thumbnail. We've got a lot to kind of go over. First, we're going to do all the comment section again, kind of like last week. That was fun. Yo, why can't I share this to X? How do I do that? Share your... I don't think I was supposed to click that if I'm keeping it a buckaroo. We're going to talk about the future of the MCU. What's going on? What's going to happen? What could possibly occur after Doomsday? So there's quite a bit to go over. I liked how yesterday we started off, we kind of went over all my comments of people roasting me. Oh, this is banging. This is banging. Strawberry lemonade. Oh, all right. We got to go through all my shorts again, all the comments, see what people are saying, see if they rebutted us, came back with other comments, if they hate what I posted. The new Avengers suck. Someone has to say it. The Thunderbolts to This is one of the ones we got to go over, too.
We are the Thunderbolts.
They're weak. How are you going to say Spider-Man is small potato stuff?
We'll go over all that. Solo you.
The new Avengers suck. Someone has to say it. The
Thunderbolts to the new Avengers, they suck. We are the Thunderbolts.
They're weak. How are you going to say Spider-Man is small potato stuff? He will solo you guys. He beats everyone in the new Avengers. What are any of you going to do against Doom? The new Avengers suck. Someone has to say it. The Thunderbolts to the new Avengers, they suck.
We are the Thunderbolts.
They're weak. How are you going to say Spider-Man is small potato stuff? He will solo you guys. He beats everyone in the new Avengers. What are any of you going to do against Doom? The new Avengers suck. Someone has to say it. The Thunderbolts to the new Avengers, they suck.
We are the Thunderbolts.
They're weak. How are you going to say Spider-Man is small potato stuff? He will solo you guys. He beats everyone in the new Avengers. What are any of you going to do against Doom? The new Avengers suck. Someone has to say it. The Thunderbolts to the new Avengers, they suck.
We are the Thunderbolts.
They're weak. How are you going to say Spider-Man is small potato stuff? He will solo you guys. He beats everyone in the new Avengers. What are any of you going to do against Doom? The new Avengers suck. Someone has to say it. The Thunderbolts to the new Avengers, they suck.
We are the Thunderbolts.
They're weak. How are you going to say Spider-Man is small potato stuff? He will solo you guys. He beats everyone in the new Avengers. What are any of you going to do against Doom? The new Avengers suck. Someone has to say it. The Thunderbolts to the new Avengers, they suck.
We are the Thunderbolts.
They're weak. How are you going to say Spider-Man is small potato stuff? He will solo you guys. He beats everyone in the new Avengers. He does beat everyone in the new Avengers. And we went over that. I made a post on X that got absolutely zero traction because I actually just started X yesterday. But needless to say, I stand by what I said. No one, even what's his name, Sentry. I think Tom Holland Spidey still beats that. I think so. Let me get chat open on the phone. All right, let's start stroking it silly, guys. Another sip of the Joy Burst. Dude, because I've been running. Takes a lot of energy to gaslight and rage bait. Where we go? All right. Here's my post earlier on X. Again, I don't really know how to use X, so I'm just stroking along with it right now. Spider-Man Solo is the new Avengers, maybe even Sentry as well. And that is a valid take. I stand by that take. Right now, I'm just posting a bunch of clips that I've had before with X. Again, I don't know how to share my live on there, but it's whatever. But we got to go through the comments with these guys. Where's the first short? Avengers, what are... Okay, here's the short, and then we'll go over it. The new Avengers suck. Yep. Someone has to say it. The Thunderbolts to the new Avengers, they suck. They're buns.
The Thunderbolts.
They're weak. How are you going to say Spider-Man is small potato stuff? He will solo you guys. He beats everyone in the new Avengers. What are any of you going to do against Doom? That's a good take. The new Avengers suck. That is valid. Oh, wait, I already liked it. Okay. Do the new Avengers suck? I just liked it, but they didn't reply. They need a second Taskmaster to have like a slim chance against Doctor Doom. That was a valid take. I think, yeah, I agree. But they're definitely not doing that, which I don't think they're not going to do that. Yelena's bad. Bobsland's everyone else is fodder. Yes, in a sense, and we went over part of this yesterday. Spidey beats him with the power of friendship. If the Thunderbolts can beat him with the power of friendship, then that option should be available to Spidey. And the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is going to Friendly Neighborhood who's way inside of Bob's brain and beat him. Yeah, it's just a valid take. It's just a valid take. All right. Are we forgetting that they had to deal with a guy that can erase humanity by itself by looking at you? Listen, I cooked them. Spider-Man dealt with Thanos, who did wipe out half of humanity. Valid take from the Big Steppa. That's a valid take. And Jean Grey is also OP. Double valid take. Source LARP. No. Actually, source is Avengers Endgame. And Infinity War. What are we talking about here? This guy has no idea what he's talking about. You let me know if you think that's wrong in the comments, but I mean, I think that's a completely valid take. What do we like? You didn't even rebuttal. You didn't even have a comeback, so you just had to throw LARP in there. Like, this guy's just wrong. Yeah, they are, but it's funny. It is funny. It is funny. Their interactions, stuff like that. Like, that's cool. That's valid. I understand that. Oh, man. Oh. That goes straight to my sack, and it feels so scrumptious. The new Avengers that is. Someone has to say it. The Thunderbolts. But that was sick. I dropped this one earlier, but it's still fresh, so it's not a lot of traction going on. But I think Spider-Man might be the downfall of the X-Men and the mutants in the MCU. Yep. Let me know if this is a hot take. So the inhibitor that he places on Jean Grey suppresses her powers. It does. Right? And that's what's used a lot of times in the X-Men comics to kind of suppress them and then eventually eliminate them. A lot of times it's done with some type of collar and stuff. But I can see the inhibitor that he used being modified by damage control and then put as collars around all the X-Men and all the mutants. I don't know how you could disagree with this take. If I'm keeping it a buck. I think I'm the only one that commented so far. Did Spider-Man doom the mutants? I think it's so similar. He already used it on Jean Grey. One of the strongest mutants, by the way. Dampened her powers, if not fully removed them. I think damage control now knows that's possible. Why would they not? Why would they not modify that future into the collars, as we can see? Where is it? Kind of right here. I put the text over it. But like they did on Gambit and stuff in the comics. I think there's a chance Spidey might have like doomed part of the mutants in the MCU. I think there's a big chance on that. I think there's a big chance. And I'm interested to see how that goes. If they play on that or not. If not, I think they're missing like a big opportunity. But who knows? Who really knows there? The setup for Doctor this one as well. I think the setup for Doctor Doom for Doomsday, I think, sucks. I think that's the weakest part for this film coming out. I mean, Thanos, we had the Infinity Stones building up to him. We had the end credit scenes that led up to him. We had Gamora and Nebula give us kind of like tidbits and lore of him. Yeah, and then for Doctor Doom, one of the biggest baddies in Marvel, we have an end credit scene and kind of a subpart. All right, so we got to respond to some of these now. It's true. Should be a build-up, ... Maybe this film introduces and he'll be around for a while. I actually don't think so. I don't think... I think he's done after Secret Wars. Maybe, but to be honest, I think... he is done after Secret Wars. I mean, how would Secret Wars end then? They just let the dude go? Okay, you just formed Battleworld. We just had Secret Wars. You just did Doomsday, and all these planets collided in these universes. But we're going to let you off the hook now. I don't think there's a world when they just, like, let him go for funsies. We've all been there and done that, dude. We've all collided universes and killed multiple people and all this stuff. I don't think so, dog. I think he's done. I don't know if they kill him. Because they don't really do the whole killing thing in the MCU. So I'm curious what they're going to do. But I don't think he sticks around for a baddie for like another 5 years or something. I think his story wraps up. And the Russo is trying to gaslight the fans that Thanos didn't have a build-up. Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
I made a whole long form video ranting about that. I mean, this guy's not going to go watch it, but you got to try and throw it in there anyways. You got to try and, like, wish for some luck. We answered all those. Did these guys ever respond to me? Okay, here we go. Dr. Doom is one of the most recognizable and known Marvel villains, besides, like, Magneto for casuals. Thanos, even though he's huge in Marvel Comics, isn't going to be as known as Doom. The Infinity War saga is also one of the biggest crossover events in Marvel history. My issue is it seems like it's setting up God Emperor Doom, which is way too early. The version that took Molecule Man and really uses his hacks to strip him of his power, Odin Force, Thor, ain't going to be enough. Base Jean with Phoenix wouldn't be enough. Only the White Phoenix of the Crown outclass. And yeah, okay. So what he's saying is no one's really there to kind of outclass Doom that we have right now. And they're setting him up to be so powerful so quick that it's just bizarre that no one's on par with him. He's just so far in a league of his own that it's crazy. I get what this guy's saying. Yeah. Emperor Doom outclasses everyone in the MCU by so much, it's crazy. Yeah. And that could happen at the end of this one. I agree. He definitely deserves more. Me and this guy are on the same page now. See, that's the fun of going through the comments.
Spider-Man is small potatoes.
There we go. They're trying to fry my buns. They're trying to touch my sack, and I'm not going to let that happen. I'm not the kind of guy that lets you just touch his sack for fun. Unless you're cheek. Ooh, okay. So what do we do here? They beat the Void with the power of plot armor and friendship. Spider-Man beats Jean Grey with friendship, too. Which I know. I've stated that multiple times in the past. Yeah. No, it's not his movie, so he doesn't get that type of plot armor. Silly. I don't know if he's agreeing with me or not. I think he is, but yeah. It's valid, though. Yo, this guy doesn't know about Dark Phoenix. That's what I'm saying. I gotta read all these. There we go. Can she see the future? How the F is she supposed to know that this is an Omega level threat in 173 years? The person that commented about the Hulk and Jean Grey are small potatoes. These people are just speaking gibberish at this point. I'm just going to rage bait them for fun just because that's the kind of guy I am, to be honest. The person that commented about the Hulk and Jean Grey are small potatoes. Yeah, this guy doesn't know grammar, so I don't really know what to say to him. I kind of thought the same, but Spider is always strong enough to handle himself. I'm watching it now and wish he embraced his power. Start embracing his power more after Brand New Day. Valid. Valid. Oh, they're going crazy. They're going crazy in the comments. Tyler Bliss. To be fair, he may be able to solo them, except Bob, but he deals with street crime unless he's specifically called on. Yeah, but yeah, but he's still stronger than them. And can beat them. Which is a valid take from the Big Steppa. Dude, there were so many comments on this video. This video actually cooked for me. I'm not going to lie. We responded to yesterday. You guys know I like responding to all your comments. So make sure, this is what happens usually when you guys respond. We go through them all together and kind of talk about it and everything like that. So that was good. Now, my long form video, I hate all of you. Genuinely with a passion. You guys couldn't spend 6 minutes to watch this banger that I put together. All the editing and
Avengers
all the everything.
Doomsday might have a major problem before the movie even released.
You just
No, I don't think that it's Dr. Doom or that Robert Downey Jr.'s.
This one was an absolute banger. No one could comment. No one could comment. Okay. I'll just beat my meat mercilessly. So now we got to talk about the future of the MCU and what's going to be happening, what's going to be going on and stuff like that. Because after Doomsday, let me know what you guys think is going to happen in the MCU. And I think it's going to lean more towards the X-Men, right? So, I think there's a good chance the X-Men start taking over after Doomsday, and here's why. So, I think the inhibitor chips that Spider-Man made, and I did a video on that as well, are going to be used by damage control to start being implemented in order to dampen the powers of the mutants and kind of wipe them out and stuff like that. And that may be a major point in the upcoming X-Men movies, but I don't think that's happening until after Secret Wars. You see, we still got to deal with everything that Doom is going to do and stuff like that. And the future of the MCU right now is we have Ghost Rider coming out with Ryan Gosling, which is a great hero. I don't know where he ties in to the greater everything of the MCU, and we'll have to see, and maybe it'll just be like a one-off movie or something like that. But he is a pretty cool character. Maybe we'll see him in Secret Wars just kind of as a first time to introduce ourselves to him. That would be sick. Get to know some of the characters that are coming out after Secret Wars, because they are trying to do like a soft reboot. If you guys didn't know, Marvel's trying to do a soft reboot essentially after Secret Wars, which means they're going to lean more towards X-Men, lean more towards a lot of characters that people don't really know. Now, Black Panther still will have a third movie. And the actor playing T'Challa's son is a really good actor, so I'm hyped about that. So we have that to look forward to. We have Ghost Rider to look forward to because those have been confirmed. But what happens to a lot of our OG heroes? Thor might be winding up after that. He might be going towards the end. I don't know what they're going to have him do after Secret Wars because his story is pretty much done. I mean, let me know in the comments if you think Thor is going to either die or we're not going to see him much after the ending of Secret Wars. I don't know what they're going to have him do. Maybe he'll lead the next level of heroes. Maybe he'll be like an ancient figure for them to fall back on. That could happen. That could always be an answer. And then we'll see and stuff like that. Maybe because in sometimes when like the next Avengers or the new Avengers come out and like the kid versions, they sometimes go back and talk to Banner. And he kind of gives them ideas and help from the past and stuff like that. But there are rumors that Ruffalo is done with Hulk after either Doomsday or Secret Wars. Like, this is the last time we'll see the character. So a lot of these characters we know and love have already been dealt with in the past. Iron Man's gone. Captain America or Steve Rogers by Chris Evans is done. He is coming back for this. But I don't see him coming back again. You can only do this stuff so many times before it means absolutely nothing. And even some fans don't even like this that he's coming back during this part. So there is that to worry about. And then after that, we do have to talk about, can they hold on? Like, if you're Kevin Feige, what movies are you lining up right now? I think your next superhero movies that we're going to see is we've got Ghost Rider, we've got Secret Wars, we've got Black Panther 3 coming out. That'll maybe tie into the Young Avengers or something like that. That is a possibility. And then the X-Men, right? I think you're wrapping up the Avengers. I think you're wrapping up that side. And Spider-Man is going to be a tie-in between all that. If you think differently on that, let me know that in the comments down below. But I think Spider-Man is going to be a tie-in between the X-Men and the old MCU. Right? And then Spider-Man will get 1 to 2 more solo films. And then that might be it for Tom. That might genuinely be it. I don't know what he has left after that. Right? You do one with Venom, push him to his limits after Secret Wars, because Secret Wars he goes and gets the symbiote suit and everything like that on Battle World and stuff. He comes back, and then the symbiote part of it takes over like Eddie Brock, and then he has this massive brawl with him, and Eddie Brock pushes him to the limits and all this kind of stuff as he's recovering from Secret Wars. So I can see that being really good. Then the Spider-Verse saga wraps up as well around that time. And then the final movie, maybe they introduce Miles. And that's just a take. I think they do a live action Miles Morales, and then he ends up taking over. And you do a couple films with him, and then like Miles' second film, you bring Tom back as a cameo, and everyone's so excited and hyped, and it breaks the box office again. That's essentially what I think is going to happen for the future of the MCU. And now the big guys, the team, I think we're going to be focusing on the X-Men. I think we're going to be going over a lot of the recent fan castings for the X-Men. X-Men castings. Let's take a look at this. We'll pull this up together. We'll kind of look through this and see what's going on. I don't think this is true. Source, Deadline. Jack O'Connell has been cast as Wolverine in the X-Men. Let's see what the comments are saying about this. I didn't want to click the pic. No. Give me this. Nothing is confirmed or official. You're just taking it out. Yeah, I agree with this. They confirmed that Wolverine will not be a part of the X-Men movie. Yeah, I think this guy's bugging because there's so many rumors going around about who it will be. Now, this is really what we need to talk about. So here's the future of the MCU and the X-Men right now. Rumored cast for the MCU's X-Men, right? Sadie Sink as Jean Grey confirmed. Samora Weaving as Emma Frost. Again, scrumptious casting confirmed. India Narvet from Obsession. There is a rumor about her being Mystique, but there's also a rumor about her being Black Cat. Now, which of those I'd rather her play? I don't know. She has more longevity as Mystique, I believe, than Black Cat. I can see Black Cat being mentioned like once or twice in the MCU or in Spider-Man movies, and that's it. And then we got Callie Spaney is being rumored right now to be Rogue. James Lawson as Storm, which is not mentioned here. Adam Driver as Mr. Sinister, and Bill Skarsgård as Professor X. Now, there was other people rumored to be Professor X as well, but Bill Skarsgård is a good enough actor to which I would take it. I'd be so hyped if he was Professor X. But right now, whatever they're feeding the casting director for the X-Men, give them whatever they want. Because this cast is absolutely bonkers and insane and looks so good to lead the future of the MCU. And a lot of them are young, which is great. They have longevity. That is literally what I love about this. My official fan cast for the X-Men. Yeah, so here we go. We got some more of this going on. Yep, I like that. Here's a better example of some of the people being cast or rumored. And I can see this. Some of these are already confirmed. That's a handsome man, just like me. Can't even lie. And I would love to see where they actually go with some of these casting and stuff like that. Another person that I think could play Iceman. What's his name? Rudy from Outer Banks. I think that actor could pull it off and stuff. So that could always be good. But these X-Men castings are cooking right now. It looks so good. Like whatever they're feeding them over at Marvel, dude, let them keep cooking. As I said earlier, these are all rumored and stuff like that. But it's going to be absolutely insane. I got to figure out, because I think the X-Men is the next big team. We're leaning away from the MCU that we once knew in the past. Doomsday and Secret Wars is going to wipe them. I don't think we're saying Sam anymore as Falcon or the new Captain America. Don't really know if we're seeing the Thunderbolts too much anymore. Maybe as cameos and kind of tie the worlds together. But I think Spider-Man is going to be the link between the past MCU that we're in right now and the future MCU with the X-Men and a bunch of the other people. That's why he was tied in with Brand New Day with Jean Grey. And they have that connection already. He also has many stories in the past with the X-Men and like dating Kitty Pryde. And I don't know if you remember Data had chemistry with Jean Grey or not. Her loss if not. But so he's been tied in with them in the past and everything. So it wouldn't shock me if he continues to be the tie-in and then it kind of ends with Miles Morales and stuff like that. Maybe there's a movie where his inhibitor chip is dooming the X-Men, right? As we mentioned before, and he kind of has to figure out what to do with all that stuff. So I could see that happening as he ties more in with them. Maybe Miles gives him a hand and everything, and that's how Miles Morales is brought into the MCU. But other than that, the old MCU, I don't think we're seeing anything from like Hawkeye and Ronin. I don't even know if we're seeing the Young Avengers anymore. Miss Marvel, all of them. I think they're just gonna be going away, especially after Secret Wars and Battle World and stuff like that. Which Battle World essentially is all these universes colliding together, and when your two universes collide together, you have to fight it out, and the universe that destroys the other universe gets to live. It is brutal. But that's Battle World. That's what I think we're getting during Secret Wars. And that's what I think Doomsday is trying to set up and stuff like that. Maybe Doomsday even ends with these worlds colliding. And Doom is sitting on his throne. And he's like, now fight for your survival. But I think we're getting some of that already in Doomsday, right? You can see the kind of incursions happening over at Xavier's mansion and stuff like that. And a couple universes to wipe out right away is Spider-Man's. And by Spider-Man's, I mean Tobey Maguire's. I'm just saying, we need something to make us hate Doom and see, oh, like this is real. This stuff is going down right now. So then we do see, if we see his universe get wiped out by either Doom himself or by like the X-Men because they're fighting for survival, dude, that's setting the tone for the movie. And we've got to set the tone for Doom because we haven't done anything really for him yet. We just haven't. And that'll really set what's going on and stuff like that. And they better not beat Doom inside his mind with the power of friendship. I will flip. I'll be so mad. And I was asking earlier, like, ChatGPT questions to talk about. And the thing is, so after Ghost Rider and Black Panther, like, what's the next 3 movies you would do if you were Kevin Feige leading the MCU? That's a genuine question. That's a genuine question. Because I don't know. I think an X-Men movie. I think a Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. And I don't know what my third movie would be. I got no idea who we focus on solo-wise. Do we focus on Logan and a Wolverine? I don't think so. That guy's got to prove himself. He's got a lot to prove. And honestly, Hugh Jackman probably won't be beat. And this guy's got to know that going into it. So they've got their hands full when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I'm interested to see what's going on there, especially because they'll announce later on. And we probably won't know until like a different Comic-Con happens and stuff like that. So I'm intrigued to see what happens for the future of the MCU. And where we're going after Doomsday. This is what I was looking at earlier with ChatGPT, trying to see segments and questions to ask you guys and everything like that. But there's so much to talk about. Again, Secret Wars prediction, like Doom's going to be ruling Battleworld. Right? Biggest death predictions. It's got to be like close to everyone. It's got to be so many people in the old MCU that we just don't see again. And even some of the old X-Men. I think Magneto's dying. I think Professor Xavier's dying. I think someone like Nightcrawler and the old Mystique are dying. Right? And then the younger ones take over. That's my thought process. You got to think about it. Patrick Stewart and them, how many more Marvel movies do they have? Dude, they're like 80 years old. They're like 90 years old. Kill them off. Give them a glorious death of holding off Doom as the rest of the X-Men get out and try and find out a way to stop Doom. Give them a glorious death, holding them off. Let them do some damage. Let them beat some Sentinels and then wipe them out. Show Doom's power. Show it that way. Eliminate a lot of these people. And then just kind of go from there, to be honest. I think that's a great way to do it. I mean, Doom is pretty broken. There was a video I wanted to watch with you guys. Everything you need to know about Dr. Doom before Doomsday. I kind of wanted to check this out. This one's like a year old from Variant Comics. I think we watch it. We see what's going on. Let's see if we got anything to talk about after. Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen.
What's up, everybody?
All right, let's go. This is everything you need to know about Dr. Doom.
honestly before Doomsday by Variant Comics.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to Variant. A couple of weeks ago, Marvel and MCU fans finally got one of the biggest reveals we've been waiting years for, and that is Doctor Doom's entrance into the MCU and the announcement for who is going to be playing the character. So today we are talking all things Doctor Doom. But first, I want to congratulate Variant's longtime host Eris and his wife Amber on the birth of their beautiful new baby girl. Thankfully, everyone is happy and healthy and resting comfortably at home, so we're obviously incredibly excited with and for them. And if you guys would also like to show them some love down in the comments, I know they would appreciate it.
Yeah, we love that.
That also means Eris will be out on paternity leave for the next 2 weeks, doing his best impression of Mr. Mom and getting acquainted with their new addition. So you'll be seeing more of my mug than usual for the next few weeks. But I'll also be using the next month and a half to catch up on some of the projects we're working on as we gear up to end the year strong. So overall, you'll be seeing a bit less Variant content than usual from now until the beginning of October when we kick off our coverage of DC's All-In Initiative. To make up for it, however, we are collaborating with Comic-Con The Cruise to bring you guys just a little bit. Believe me when I tell you, you do not want to miss this one. Anyway, with all of that covered, let's talk some Doom. Marvel's big Hall H announcement started with Marvel Studios' top dog Kevin Feige confirming that the Russo brothers are indeed returning to helm the next 2 Avengers movies, starting with a shift from Avengers Kang Dynasty to Avengers Doomsday in 2026, followed by Avengers Secret Wars to wrap up the multiverse saga. But after the Russo brothers took the mic and revealed that Doctor Doom would be entering the MCU in Doomsday, they shocked everyone when a masked Robert Downey Jr. stepped out from the crowd of people dressed as Doctor Doom to reveal that he would be returning to play a version of Victor Von Doom, or an alternate universe Tony Stark who became a version of Doctor Doom. The latter seems much more likely to me for a number of reasons, but especially because the first thing RDJ said after removing the Doom mask was, "New mask, same task," implying that in this role, he will have the same motivations as Tony Stark Iron Man, but the character will take a much darker turn. Either way, while many are excited about this, overall, this announcement has actually been pretty polarizing among fans, with a lot of people upset that we won't be getting the true 616 Victor Von Doom, calling it lazy and a desperate cash grab by Marvel. For us here at Variant, we fall into the excited camp because there is significant comic book precedent for the move and sound MCU-based reasoning for Marvel Studios to take this direction. And I'm going to be detailing all of those throughout today's episode. In fact, a number of channels like New Rockstars and Comics Explained have already done a great job detailing many of them since the announcement. But the one thing that is getting a bit lost in all the speculation and theorizing about why Marvel has brought back RDJ to play Doctor Doom is the simple and exciting fact that we are finally going to be getting Doctor Doom in the broader MCU. Not to mention, with the Russo brothers back on board to steer the ship, it has great potential to bring things to a much needed reset in a very cool way. So Eris and I are going to tag team on this episode to spotlight the overall history of Doctor Doom, including his origins and some of the character's key story arcs, with a focus on the comics that are the most likely influences for the MCU's direction for the character. And then I'll give you our take on why we think RDJ as Doctor Doom has a chance to hit on multiple fronts. So off we go. Doctor Doom, one of Marvel Comics' most iconic villains, was created by the legendary duo of writers Stan Lee and artist Jack Kirby. And his first appearance in the Fantastic Four issue 5 in 1962 introduced a character that would quickly become one of Marvel's most popular big bads and a cornerstone of the Marvel Universe. The thing is, the real-world inspirations behind Doctor Doom's creation are as interesting as the character himself, blending elements of literature and history to shape this complex villain. To construct the character we now know as Victor Von Doom, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby seemingly drew inspiration from several places. For instance, it's been speculated that the tragic figure of Victor Frankenstein from Mary Shelley's classic novel influenced Doom, because while the connection has never been confirmed, like Frankenstein, Doctor Doom is a brilliant but flawed scientist whose arrogance and ego leads to his downfall. You can also easily see influences from Shakespearean characters like Macbeth and even tragic heroes of Greek mythology mixed into Doom's persona. But in addition to fictional influences, Lee and Kirby were also clearly inspired by historical dictators when shaping Victor Von Doom, as his authoritarian rule over the fictional nation of Latveria, driven by arrogance and vanity, allowed them to explore themes of absolute power, control, and the corrupting influence of both. Jack Kirby then took these concepts and embedded them into the visual design for Doctor Doom, incorporating elements from medieval knights, futuristic armor, and mysticism. It made for a very cool blend of futuristic and historical elements that gave Doom a distinctive and striking appearance. Keeping with some of those concepts, from a story perspective, Stan Lee's vision for Doctor Doom included a grandiose and operatic cinematic quality. He wanted Doom to be theatrical and memorable, with elaborate speech patterns and dramatic gestures. And this operatic flair made Doom a larger-than-life character who stood out in the Marvel Universe. Not to mention the intense personal rivalry between Dr. Doom and Reed Richards' Mr. Fantastic, which added another layer of complexity to the character. This classic trope of personal vendettas driving conflict made their battles compelling and relatable as they emphasized the deep-seated conflict between the two characters. Add it all up, and
like, how much drama are we gonna have between the current MCU, Mr. Fantastic, and this Doom? Like, we've had zero buildup, and that's part of the problem. We saw Reed's son and Sue's son being taken at the end as an end credit scene, but realistically, that's all we know. And if that's why he's mad, I get it. I just wish we had more chemistry between them. Let me know what you think.
You have a villain who is not only formidable in his physical and intellectual capabilities, but also deeply complex in his motivations and personality. As a result, Dr. Doom has become one of the greatest villains in comic book history, and another major testament to the creative genius of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. But with his real-world origins covered, Eris is going to break down Dr. Doom's fictional origin and fill you in on how you can win a cruise to Cozumel, Mexico on board Comic-Con the Cruise. I told you it was a dope giveaway.
So we are crazy excited to announce the inaugural voyage of Comic-Con the Cruise.
Your ears did not deceive you. Comic-Con the Cruise is the only officially licensed cruise by Comic-Con International, an actual Comic-Con on the open seas. And we're going, and we want you to join us.
This 4-day luxury experience with writers and have original night Star Trek February is the ultimate fan adventure. Oh, and did I mention Tim and I are going? Because we are. And 2 of you are going with us for free. That's right, as an exclusive just for our Variant fam, you can enter to win a free cruise for 2 of your cabin.
Holy ad placement.
It's a win cabin. Just go to comicconthecruise.com/variant or click the link below or scan the QR code or send us a smoke signal. We don't care. Just join us on the high seas. The best origin for Dr. Doom is given to us in the books of Doom's 6-issue miniseries, where we see that when Victor Von Doom was a boy, he was the child of gypsies in Latveria. We learn that Victor's mother Cynthia delved into the black arts, which his father Werner begged her to stop doing, saying, "Think of your family, think of your son." She replies to her husband, "That's what I'm thinking of, Werner. Look at us. Our people are constantly in tatters, barely one step ahead of the Baron's persecution. But if we had some power, Victor's life, it could be better than this." So of course she doesn't stop dabbling in the black arts and called upon the demon Mephisto to use his power. The summoning of him worked, but not the way she thought. Mephisto manipulated her, filling her with a thirst for vengeance on the Baron's men, the soldiers who kept the gypsies on the run, who beat them and stole their money, who have done worse to the women. She killed several of the Baron's men, but when the demon's powers left, the survivors chased her down and killed her as we watch her die in her husband's arms. Her final words were begging her husband to keep Victor away from dark places. But as we all know, that didn't turn out so well. After this, Victor's father Werner, who was a doctor, was called by King Vladimir to treat his sick wife. But when Werner failed to save the king's wife as she was already riddled with cancer, the Baron blamed Werner for it and sent his men to hunt Werner and Victor. On the run, Werner would die freezing to death trying to keep his son safe. That's right, this is a scene straight out of The Shining. A little while after this, Victor would find his mom's artifacts and mystical books. He would study them and teach himself sorcery, trying to free his mother's soul from Mephisto, but was unsuccessful. At some point, Victor was held at gunpoint by someone who was seeking an award to bring Victor into the Baron. But Victor was able to smack the gun away and choke the man to death. As Victor grew, he excelled in science and his achievements had become legendary. So much so, a US general tracked him down saying, "You're the famous Victor Von Doom I've heard about. You are a hard man to find, Von Doom." Victor replies, "By design. What can I do for you?" Doom explains to us that his achievements had become so legendary that this general had come all the way from the United States to track him down. Apparently with some fear that his enemies would find him first. There were offers of money and opportunities to study in the finest schools and laboratories in the world. Victor tells us, "On any other day, I might have struck a harder bargain, made them pay a higher price for my participation. But on this day, with my trembling hands, all I wanted was to be away from Latveria," and asks, "When can we leave?" This leads us to issue 2 of the series, where we see the general bring him to New York and shows Doom the lab he'll be working in. That's less than an hour from his state university. The general says to him, "Let's give you the grand tour, and then we'll take you to the campus to fill out your enrollment forms. There's another student we need you to meet there anyway." The other student, of course, is Reed Richards. The 2 were originally supposed to share a dorm room, but General Masterson had already arranged a room for Doom with a secret soundproof lab attached. Reed would quickly become Victor's academic rival, as we see when Victor is questioning Einstein's theory on time with his professor. Reed agrees and expands Victor's thoughts, but Victor just gets up and walks out of class saying, "Yes, it is Richards, but when I need your assistance on an argument, I'll ask for it." As the issue goes on, we see Doom create the first versions of what would become known as the Doombots, as well as creating a machine that could transverse back through time. Victor Victor even created a machine to get his mother back saying, I'd finally found the synthesis between my mother's magics and the science that I dreamed of as a youth. The machine worked and took him to hell where his mother was being held prisoner by Mephisto. When she sees her son, she says, not my beautiful boy, not here. Why has Warner let this come to pass? I begged him. Victor tells her, but I came to save you, mother. When Mephisto sees him, he asks, who is this filthy little morsel, Cynthia? Not the beast that stewed in your black loins. She begs for mercy, at which point an explosion happens that Victor doesn't remember as he wakes up back on Earth in a hospital bed. But he says he will never forget the screams of his mother. This accident/explosion is what scarred Victor's face. The incident also led to him getting expelled from the university. From here, we would see Victor go to Tibet to train with monks, mastering their ways so well he became their leader, as seen in issue 4 of the series. In the same issue, we see Victor have the monks help him make his iconic armor, saying, on my master stroke. Using what I learned in this temple, I would remove myself from this world. I would create a second skin. Adaptive technology would line the inner workings of the armor, and an enchantment would seal it from the demon's touch, keep him from my dreams. But the cold metal on my skin would remind me of his existence, and that he held my mother's soul captive in his realm, for now. Once forged, the monks put the armor on him, and he tells them, bring me my face. They say, it is ready, master. And when he looks at it, he says, it is perfect. Never again will mortal eyes gaze upon Victor Von Doom. From this moment on, there is only what I've become. There is only Dr. Doom.
Okay, so we have Dr. Doom's origin, but what about those story arcs we talked about? There are obviously quite a few incredible Dr. Doom story arcs that have hit the pages of Marvel Comics over the years, including Triumph and Torment, Black Panther Doom War, Doom 2099, Books of Doom, and many others, some of which we detailed in our original History of Dr. Doom episode. But as I mentioned at the open, we are going to focus on the 4 Dr. Doom stories that seem to be the primary inspirations for casting Robert Downey Jr. as Doom in the next 2 Avengers films. I'll also note that we really thought there was a chance they were going to pull from the Doom War arc and tie Dr. Doom to the Vibranium storyline in Wakanda Forever. And while that didn't happen, I still wonder if that could play a role in some way. Anyway, the 4 stories that seem most likely to be the prime inspirations for RDJ as Dr. Doom are Infamous Iron Man, What If Iron Man Demon in an Armor, Exiles with an Iron Fist, and of course, the Secret Wars storyline. And while some fans are expecting them to pull from one of these stories, we think Marvel will likely pull elements from most, if not all of them, that when mixed with certain pieces from the current MCU canon will create an entirely new story. And for our purposes today, I'm just going to give you a summary of the relevant aspects from each of the story arcs that I mentioned, and we'll start with Infamous Iron Man, which is a 12-issue series by Brian Michael Bendis. In Infamous Iron Man, we find ourselves after the events of Civil War II, where Victor Von Doom has decided to turn over a new leaf and atone for his past actions, particularly those during the Secret War story, by stepping into the role of Iron Man after Tony Stark's apparent death. But while Doom is trying to redeem himself by becoming a hero, his darker nature always seems to emerge. This storyline is potentially a key because it introduces the concept of Victor Von Doom adopting the Iron Man identity in order to act as a hero in his own way, which could be exactly where Marvel is headed with RDJ's character. Just imagine a Thanos-like version of Victor Von Doom who maybe after his own world is destroyed by the Thanos of his universe, somehow crosses into the 616 sacred timeline, learns about Tony Stark's goal to put a suit of armor around the world, and steps into the role of Iron Man to fulfill it. But this is Dr. Doom, and while he tries to be the nice guy at first with a desire to protect the world, his darker tendencies cause him to turn into a tyrant to carry out his vision after the people of this Earth disagree with his plan. Always for the greater good, of course. But that's just one possibility. The next comes from What If Iron Man Demon in an Armor. This story is kind of a reversal of the characters we now know. Essentially, in an alternate timeline, Victor Von Doom and Tony Stark are college roommates, and after Doom discovers that Stark has a sharper mind than his own, he tricks Tony into helping him build a machine that would swap their minds. Once complete, he lures Tony into the machine and transfers his mind into Tony Stark's body and Tony's mind into his. He then completely wipes Tony's memory so he has no recollection of who he actually is, creating a situation where Stark, now in Latveria and stripped of his identity, is forced to live as a commoner while Doom enjoys the wealth and status of being a Stark. Now, if Marvel draws from this story, it would be an interesting way to give us RDJ as an alternate version of Tony Stark who has had his mind swapped with Victor Von Doom. This would not only create the immediately compelling element of the heroes of the MCU having to fight a villain that bears the face of their greatest hero, especially for Peter Parker, as Tony was a father figure and a mentor, but it would also pave the way for the true Dr. Doom to be revealed after the events of Avengers Secret Wars, where maybe Doom's mind or consciousness returns to his own body. Regardless, you can absolutely see important pieces throughout the Demon in an Armor story that Marvel could incorporate into the MCU. Then we have Exiles with an Iron Fist from Exiles 23 through 25. This story is set in an alternate universe, Earth 42777 to be specific, where Tony Stark has become a full-on authoritarian. To sum it up, Stark doesn't merge with Doom or anything like that in this story. Instead, this Tony Stark has declared himself president of the United States for life, and the undisputed monarch of Earth. And the craziest part about this is to assume this role, Tony Stark effectively uses his wealth, power, and technology to form secret alliances with Magneto and Dr. Doom to induce a series of false flag events that wreak chaos on the world, leading to a mutant war that decimates the superhuman population and wipes out the elected officials of the United States. But after the plan was carried out, Stark kills both Magneto and Dr. Doom to eliminate his only rivals and consolidate all power to himself. And that leaves us with this completely savage version of Iron Man who wears Dr. Doom's tattered and torn cloak. It's pretty freaking wild, and if Marvel incorporates this version of Iron Man, RDJ could portray a version of Stark who is a complete and utter tyrant, a figure who has crossed every moral line to achieve ultimate control, and an Iron Man you could easily see becoming God Emperor Doom just before the Secret Wars movie, setting up a confrontation with the Avengers where they face off against a Tony Stark who embodies the worst traits of both himself and Dr. Doom. But again, to pull this off in a way that works, it will likely require pulling aspects from several of these stories and combining them, and that leads us to the Secret Wars story itself, where Dr. Doom becomes the God Emperor of Battleworld, wielding the powers of the Beyonders to reshape reality and force many of Marvel's heroes into subservient positions. This storyline is pivotal to understanding where it's all going for the multiverse saga and what pieces will likely be needed to make it all fit as a coherent story. It shows Doom at his most powerful, literally remaking the universe in his image. So whether RDJ plays a tyrannical version of Tony Stark who has taken up the Dr. Doom mantle, or one of the other iterations, he will absolutely become a multiversal threat by the time Avengers Secret Wars hits. And this won't just be a villain. This will be a character who has the power to control and reshape reality itself, forcing the Avengers to face a version of Tony Stark who has transcended into something far more dangerous and godlike, which is exactly the setup Marvel needs to create a soft reboot of the entire MCU, ushering in the mutant saga and era for the franchise. But here's the big takeaway. Marvel never really fully adapts a comic storyline into the MCU. They take themes and pieces across Marvel's history for both characters and major story arcs like the Infinity War story and create their own version of it. And the Russo brothers are going to do exactly that, to clean up and wrap up the multiverse saga, weaving together elements from these four iconic stories and possibly others to create a new alternate version of Iron Man Dr. Doom that's unique to the Marvel Universe. I know a lot of fans are unhappy about this decision, but I really think this could be a very fun way to bring everything back to a solid reset point while telling a very compelling story. And I also think it's interesting that they could use this story to follow a path for Tony Stark that is similar to what they did with Loki, but in reverse. And what I mean by that is, after Loki's death in Avengers Infinity War, they used the Endgame story and Loki's series to extract Loki's past self out of the sacred timeline and bring him into the TVA, where we see him face off with Kang and complete his story not just as a hero, but as the savior of the entire multiverse, literally holding and binding the timelines together. And with Tony Stark, it looks like they could be taking the MCU's greatest hero, who sacrificed himself to save the entire world, and bring him back in a way that has him consolidating power to the extent that he threatens the safety of the entire multiverse, effectively becoming the very thing the original Tony Stark Iron Man died to destroy. Now, you may not like that angle, but you have to admit, it's pretty clever. They'd effectively be taking the MCU's first hero and the first major villain and closing out this entire era for the MCU with stories that place them in opposite roles. It's an ambitious move that could pay off while simultaneously redefining what we know about the MCU and giving us a villain who's as complex as he is powerful. Now, that wraps up the story arcs that could shape the rest of the multiverse saga for the MCU, and I highly recommend you guys grab those titles and read them before the Fantastic Four hits next summer. But before we wrap up, let's take a look at Dr. Doom's baseline powers and abilities.
First and foremost, Dr. Doom is one of the most powerful sorcerers in all of comic books. He is such a skilled sorcerer and master of the mystic arts that Doctor Strange himself said he has the potential to become the Sorcerer Supreme. Which, funny enough, a future version of Dr. Doom actually did become the Sorcerer Supreme. Strange has even said that Doom knows things about the dark arts that have long been forgotten that even he doesn't know about. As for a quick rundown, he's a master of mystical blasts, mystical force fields, spell casting, summoning, teleportation, dimensional travel, mystical portals, and even mind transference. He once trained with an alien race called the Ovoids, giving him the ability to switch his mind with another person nearby just by making eye contact. Then obviously Dr. Doom has a genius-level intellect. His mind is quite literally what makes him such a dangerous villain. He is without question one of the top human minds in all of the Marvel Universe, easily top 3. His suit of armor also gives him superhuman strength, allowing him to lift up to 2 tons, incredible durability, sensory systems, solar energy absorption, video communicator, concussive blast, and infrared vision. All those things combined make him one of the most formidable characters in not just Marvel, but all of comics.
All right, my people, that does it for this episode. Let us know what you think about all this and the direction things are headed with RDJ as the first MCU Dr. Doom. And for God's sakes, go get signed up for the Comic-Con.
I'm curious what will happen, obviously, when it comes out fully and stuff like that. Let's see what some of the comments are saying. Yeah. Okay. I get what they're saying here. They would rather it have been a reveal in the movie that RDJ is playing Doctor Doom and not this guy, and not shown at the event at Comic-Con. I get that, but they needed some type of hype to play Doctor Doom. They needed something to hype him up and everything like that. And I think that's what it is, out of pure curiosity and just driving people with that. But honestly, I mean, that's probably the future of the MCU. After we get Secret Wars, we're going into another Spider-Man or two. We have Ghost Rider. We have Black Panther. And then the X-Men. The X-Men are taking over. I don't know what other solo films they'll really have. I don't know how many more Black Panthers they'll do. I don't really know if they're going to do a Ghost Rider 2. But the future of the MCU is still up in the air. But it's curious to talk about. And I do think the X-Men will be the next big team. The Avengers that we know, a lot of them are probably going to die. I mean, they should. Realistically, they're going to get cooked by Doom. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do we think is going to happen to the future of the MCU after Doomsday and Secret Wars? I think X-Men are taking over. I think that's why we got all these rumored castings, and that's why we got these confirmed castings as well. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll keep you guys up to date on more gaming movie news, especially when more of these X-Men